In a vibrant village surrounded by lush hills and sunlit savannas, there lived a young man named Femi. His striking looks and warm smile were the pride of his humble family. He was the third son of Mr. and Mrs. Masanja, who, despite their struggles with poverty, were known for their kindness and wisdom. At the age of 23, Femi's heart burned with a dream as brilliant as the African sunrise, to marry the beautiful Princess Lerato, daughter of the mighty King Abiola. Lerato's beauty was the talk of every kingdom. Her laughter was said to echo like a sweet melody, and her presence, graceful as a gazelle, captivated all who saw her. But marrying Lerato was no simple task. King Abiola had declared that only a wealthy and accomplished man could win her hand. Many suitors had approached the throne with riches, charm, and promises, but none had been deemed worthy. For Femi, the path seemed unclimbable. His family's income barely stretched beyond their needs, and he owned nothing but his dreams and determination. Yet, his love for Lerato gave him courage. "If wealth is the key, then I shall find it," he told himself. One day, as Femi rested under a towering baobab tree, he overheard travelers speaking of gold mines in a neighboring kingdom. "The mines are rich," one man said, "but the king takes half of what you find. Still, the rest is yours to keep." The words ignited a spark in Femi's heart. Gold. That was his chance to change his destiny. Without hesitation, he bid farewell to his family and set out on the journey. The goldfields were unlike anything Femi had ever seen. The land was alive with noise and activity. Men and women of all ages labored under the scorching sun, their hands blistered but their spirits fierce. Some worked with hope in their eyes, while others carried the burden of despair. As the days passed, Femi witnessed the darker side of the mines. By night, the once diligent workers indulged in drinking, gambling, and reckless behavior. The air was thick with temptation, but Femi resisted. "I am not here for pleasure," he reminded himself. "I am here for Lerato." The work was grueling. The earth yielded nothing but sweat and frustration. Each day, Femi dug deeper, his hands raw and his muscles aching. Weeks turned into months, but the golden promise remained out of reach. His fellow miners mocked him. "These mines are not for dreamers like you," they sneered. "They are for those who live for the day, not for distant fantasies." For months later, Femi returned to his village with empty pockets, but an unbroken spirit. "If the mines could not make me rich, I will find another way," he resolved. It was planting season, and Femi turned to farming labor, offering his strength to those who could pay him in wages or food. He worked tirelessly, from dawn till dusk, his hands calloused and his back bent from hours in the fields. His determination caught the attention of a wealthy farmer named Dallo, who owned fertile land in a valley. Dallo's farm was vast, a patchwork of emerald crops swaying in the breeze. While in Dallo's farm, Femi worked harder than ever, his mind set on a single goal. One evening, as the golden sun dipped below the horizon, his host struck something solid. Bending down, he unearthed a gleaming object. His breath caught in his throat. It was gold. But this was no ordinary piece of gold. It was massive, its surface shimmering with a brilliance that rivaled the stars. Femi's heart raced. "This is it," he thought. "This is the answer to my prayers." He carefully wrapped the gold in his coat and hid it in his small room. The next morning, he finished his work at Dallo's farm, collected his wages, and prepared for the journey to the palace. At the gates of King Abiola's grand palace, Femi was met with skepticism. The guards dismissed him with a wave. "The king has no time for another poor dreamer," they said. But luck was on Femi's side. As the king strolled through the courtyard, he overheard the commotion. Curious, he summoned Femi to speak. Standing before the king, Femi spoke with confidence. "Your Majesty, I have come to ask for Princess Lerato's hand. I may not come from wealth, but I bring with me a treasure worthy of your kingdom." The king's eyes narrowed. "Many have made promises they could not keep. What proof do you have of this treasure?" Femi explained that he had found a piece of gold of great value and invited the king's attendants to inspect it. When the attendants saw the gold, they were awestruck. It was larger and purer than anything they had seen before. Back at the palace, King Abiola examined the gold, his face lighting up with approval. He called for his daughter, Princess Lerato. "Lerato," he said, "this young man has proven himself worthy. Do you accept him as your husband?" The princess gazed at Femi, her heart stirring at the sight of his honest face and determined spirit. She smiled and said, "Yes, father. I accept." The kingdom erupted in celebration. The wedding was a grand affair, attended by villagers, nobles, and travelers from far and wide. King Abiola gifted the newlyweds a beautiful home, where they began their life together. Femi and Lerato's love story became a legend, a tale of perseverance, integrity, and the power of dreams. Together, they built a life filled with joy, their hearts forever grateful for the journey that brought them together. The end. Dear cherished viewers, you hold a special place in our hearts. Your support inspires us to share these wonderful stories with you. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Please feel free to share them in the comments section below. Don't forget to join our storytelling family by subscribing to the African Evening Tales channel. Together, let's keep the magic of these tales alive.